The pick is in.
The Washington Wizards have made a selection in the 2025 NBA draft. I'm Tenitra Batiste, and I'm joined now by host of Locked On Wizards, Abdullah Ayubi. And the Wizards have selected Will Riley, the guard out of Illinois, with the number 21 pick. So, Abdullah, the Wizards get Riley by way of the Utah Jazz. Was this, for you, a good move, bad move, or more surprising move?
For me, I'd say it's surprising. I think one thing for sure is that after the Wizards are going to draft a big man, I think the lack of depth in the front court is something that you need to address. Will Riley, though, is an intriguing prospect, versatile scoring wing, and does join a young core here in Washington, 19 years old. One thing that does concern me is his thin frame, so I don't know how much of that is going to affect his transition into the NBA, but he can definitely put on some weight. But his ability to be a three-level scorer is something that I'm definitely going to be looking forward to for his rookie year. And I'm hoping that the trade back, that second-round pick that they get, they have to draft a big man because, again, how thin they are at the front court, it's a little concerning. And I just know Will Dawkins, no matter what draft, because just last year, those 3 first-round picks that you get, you hit on all 3 draft picks in a weak draft class. So Will Riley at 21, I can't say I hate it. I don't want to say I love it. It was just very surprising. But knowing it's Will Dawkins' regime picking it, I'm all for it.
So I got to ask, what made it so surprising of a pick for you? Was there another pick that you felt like was maybe a bit more of a fit for what these Wizards need?
So I think it was Asa Newell. I think a guy like him, he was supposed to potentially be late in the lottery, but he's been falling. And I thought a guy like him, maybe the fact that he and Alex Sarr play the same position, but I truly thought that you can put Newell in the 4 and then transition Sarr to the 5. Sarr needs to be more aggressive. I think that's something that we'll see come his sophomore year. But Will Riley was just, I didn't think he could be a possibility at 18. And for sure, I thought there was the idea of trading up for a guy in Common Malawach, Thomas Sorbo, or Derek Queen, but they went out early right after the top 10. So we'll have to see. But again, Will Dawkins, this whole regime, they know what they're doing when it comes to drafting, and we clearly saw that from last year's draft.
So when you think about Will Riley, and like you mentioned, some of the upside there and some of the areas of improvement, do you feel like he's a player that truly does have maybe more of a higher ceiling versus, say, a high floor?
Yeah, he definitely has some potential. I think the size of him at 6'8", averaged a little under 13 points per game last year. The free throw percentage could get a little better. I think that's something that the Wizards just haven't been really good last year with when it comes to the free throw line. You got to make your free throws. But I'm going back to the whole being a thin wing is just something that, especially if you want to be a guy that can score, take it to the paint, you're going to be bruised a lot in today's NBA. And we expect him to be that wing that can score, especially if Bilal Coulibaly doesn't take that year 3 jump offensively.
Yeah, and obviously to get the number 1 pick in the draft, like Alex Sarr, that means you're not that good, unless, of course, you're talking about this year with a 1.8% chance and you're the Dallas Mavericks, or even a 3.7 or 3.7% chance that the Atlanta Hawks had in getting Zachary Reese-Shea. But when you get up there in that space of where Reese-Shea and Sarr too, where they were, obviously, you're most often not that good of a team. That said, Abdullah, when you look at this pick, how does, if at all, especially in the short term, how, if at all, does Will Riley help this DC team to just finally somehow find their way out of the I call it cellar dweller of the East?
I think a big thing is just offensively. The Wizards have been bottom 5 in a lot of offensive ratings, and scoring wise, when it comes to a young team, it's identity. And you're paired up with a lot of young guys in this team. You got Bub Carrington, Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George. Now, I don't Will Riley, Trey Johnson. There's going to be a lot of touches that need to be spread out. And a guy in Will Riley can definitely make his mark sooner rather than later, especially with the Summer League coming up. I'm excited. As much as I love Trey Johnson, but Will Riley is now going to be an intriguing guy to watch come Summer League. And I can't wait. And again, I don't want to hate on the draft pick. I'll go back to the whole, who was there. Obviously, I brought up Asa Newell, but also a guy in Danny Wolf, who I was a big fan of. I thought he was a 7-foot Jokic, the way he can move. But again, knowing Will Dawkins, there's always a plan. And I think in the second round, you have to go with the big man.
And just a real quick one for you. It wouldn't be me if I wasn't asking you about Jordan Poole. Just real quick, what are your thoughts on Wizards parting ways with him?
Yeah, it sucks because for me, I get attached to a lot of players, and a guy in JP13, how he got better here in Washington was just so amazing to see. I did think the compensation that we got back wasn't as great. I get the salary cap dump, but at the end of the day, the fact that Desmond Bane goes for 4 unprotected first-round picks, Mikal Bridges goes for 5 draft picks, I get it. Those guys, they are better than Jordan Poole. Don't get me wrong, but you couldn't net 1 first-round pick. To me, it's just it's a little absurd, but at the end of the day, Will Dawkins realizes that he just didn't fit the timeline here in Washington, and
Yeah.
he's more focused on the development of a guy like Bub Carrington.
There it is. Appreciate you, Abdullah. And for more on Will Riley, here's Locked On Illini host Sonny Verma.
Will Riley might end up being one of the best scorers in this NBA draft. My name is Sonny Verma, your host of Locked On Illini, and it was such a pleasure to cover Will all season long. Will came with a lot of fanfare. He was the highest ranked recruit for Illinois in the modern era, and he did not disappoint. A 3-level scorer who can find his own shot. He can attack the rim, he can shoot the 3-point shot. As the season progressed, he got better with his playmaking skills. And I would argue by season's end, Will Riley was the best player on a 22-win Illini team. I don't know where Will Riley is going to eventually end in the NBA draft. I do think he has potential to go in the late lottery pick, but I will tell you one thing. I think there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to regret passing on him.
For continued coverage of Will Riley, check out Locked On Wizards on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.